Hello, how are you today? I hope you're really good. Today I wanted to share with you and react with you like this man's thoughts and how he thinks about our mind and our thoughts, and it has some really interesting points of view. Let's start. So this video is called You Do Not Worry. We do not worry. Let's check.
In this video, I'm going to show you how you do not worry. And I know that may have been a little irritating or maybe a lot irritating because you thought, I worry all the time. And I know my worries don't help the situation. I know my worries don't even turn out the way I think they will most of the time. But yet I lay awake and I cannot stop myself from worrying. Well, let's start off with this very simple question. Are you absolutely certain that you're the one doing the worrying? Well, let's consider pain. What if I ask you, do you cause physical pain? Now, the answer to that would be pretty obvious. You'd say, no, I'm not causing it. It's part of the body's system. It's part of a biological system of survival. Think about how useful pain is to get us out of bad situations, and how if you could turn off pain, you would. And if you could ignore pain, you would. So it's set up in such a way that we can turn it off, we can ignore it, and it helps us with survival. Could worrying be very similar to that system? Now, the only thing different, but pain is an old program. Worrying is part of the self-illusion. So it's much newer in terms of evolution, and it's caught up with this idea of a self, and that's what makes us think that we have some kind of control over it and we can stop ourselves from worrying. But let me ask you, if there was some trick to stop ourselves from worrying, don't you think we would have come up with it by now? Don't you think we'd have some, 1 minute video you could watch, and it would be, here's how to turn off worrying, and yet no one seems to have found it. And that's because there's no you to turn it off. It's part of the self-illusion, and it's caught up with this idea that somehow I'm the one doing the worrying, but there is no I doing the worrying. It's just like pain. It's part of this biological program that is all geared towards survival. So you're not doing the worrying. It's just worrying is taking place in the skull, and nothing energizes an illusion more than channeling consciousness through it. And so the whole trick, the best we can do with this, is recognize that we are not the ones doing the worrying. It's consciousness fueling this illusion of a self that makes us feel like we're the ones doing the worrying. And when you have that awareness that you are not the one doing the worrying, that's the best we can do to unplug its energy.
On Adapted Mind Read.
Sorry. So this guy is really awesome. He has opened my mind to this topic big time, because we actually think that voice is us. He has a video about it. He actually has a really good video on sorry. How we think we are our thinking mind, but we actually aren't. So let's watch that video first, and then I'll comment on the other one as well. The other one about the worrying thing.
So a couple videos back, I was going to start a whole series of videos just about the program we've got running in the left side of our brain. I call it Mind 1.0 because it's never been updated in maybe 40,000 or so years. And so one of the things I do is try to help people see that the program isn't who they are, and that there's something really wonderful behind and beyond the program. And it's really their true self, not this program masquerading as the ego. And so I got a few exercises, and instead of philosophizing too much, I thought I'd just get into some exercises. So I did a couple of these last night in an online class, and they worked out pretty well. So let's get into it. So we'll start off with a really simple exercise. Just count to 5 in your head. And I know it might seem silly if you're watching the video, but just pause it and literally just count to 5 using your inner voice. Super easy, right? Now, the reason an exercise is so important is because when you did it, it felt like it was you, like you were controlling the voice in the head. And that's the real interesting part about this, because what that does is it sets up a situation where you can start to identify with that voice because it's so cooperative. So this Mind 1.0 program has times where it can be really cooperative, and that's what brings us into the illusion that it's who we are. So, okay, if it's who
Yeah, I think it was pretty easy to count to 5 with our mind. And yeah, we will see how that voice isn't actually us.
we are, then we should be able to control it. That was one of the main points that the Buddha made in his No Self lecture. So if it's really you and you can control it, then these next two exercises shouldn't be difficult at all. So let's do another one. So I'm going to I'm just going to mention 2 letters, and I don't want you to say the third one to yourself using the voice in the head. So just let me say the first 2 and then let the third one go blank. If you've got control over it, this should be a really easy task. Now, remember, the Mind 1.0 program is all about perceiving patterns because that was really useful to our ancestors. So here's the pattern. A, B. I can almost bet anything that in your head you heard C. And there's probably nothing you could do to stop that from happening. It's very similar to when we say, don't think of the number 13, or don't be anxious. Well, here's another one that's really easy. Well, it's easy to fail.
Yeah, this is so true. Like the thing, like don't think about a pink elephant, and then just a pink elephant shows up in your face. It shows up in your mind. So, like when we say don't, our mind can't even process it. Our mind can only process what exists, and it can't process the absence of something, which is fascinating to be conscious of, right?
Fail. I'm going to give you just some words on a piece of paper. Look at them, but don't read them. In other words,
this is difficult.
just control the voice in the head and don't let it read them while
It's like
you look.
impossible. No, it's impossible.
Pretty impossible, right? In cognitive science, they call this automatic processing. Well, that's fine, because it is automatic. It's automatic in the same way as a computer program. Once it's turned on, it automatically runs its course. And so I'm going to come back. I'm going to do a couple more exercises for you, because philosophy isn't going to help us recognize the mind program. You can't think your way out of a thinking problem. But these simple exercises that we fail may help us see exactly who we are not.
My job is to make
This was pretty interesting. Like when I heard about this, like, oh, I'm not this voice. I cannot control it. So it is kind of like relieving to actually know that our bad thoughts are actually not our bad thoughts. It's like they are immediate. They are like farts that we can control. So this is like super relieving to think that our thoughts actually don't match reality and they are like impossible to control. So I think majority of people actually want to control them, but it's pretty impossible. We can maybe kind of manage it, cope with deal with it, but not control it completely. Maybe we need to train it or make it healthy, create the voice, help the voice being healthy and having its a goal, having its job being done properly and in a way that helps us navigate the life. Just like our health, like it's not something we can completely control, but we can actually manage it in a way that it might help us live a better life. So if we exercise, if we eat well, it's going to help us live a better life, feel better overall. So it's not like it's something that we control, but at the same time it's something that we have a small impact or maybe a big impact on it. So the voice, um even when it's having its down moment, so when it's being negative, like it's so relieving to think that it's not us, like it's not our fault, or we can't actually control it. Sometimes we are just going to go down, like just like our health. We catch some viruses, we get healed, but we learn from it. We gain immunity actually. So we create immunity through those viruses. So it's just like the same with this thought process. Like if we actually imagine feeling so guilty because you caught like a disease or like caught an illness of some kind, but you're ill for one day or two and then you go back to normal. Like it's something that we cannot control and we accept it. But with thoughts process, we are just so judgmental. That is the true word. Like that is the more accurate word for this. We are very judgmental with our own thoughts and the thoughts of others, which don't actually mean anything, because how we view them is actually, it's actually what we should be judging. Because if you view them and if you treat them in a way that it's not helping you, that it's not benefiting you, then you're not working in your best interests. We should work in our best interest. So we should treat this voice and we should train it in our best interest, which is to live a good life and to have confidence and to feel confident. So, but even if we don't feel confident, that's okay. Like that's our voice telling us that we are not worth what we should be worth. But it's just a voice. Like who decides? Who decides? It's just a voice that it's been like programmed since birth. And I found that fascinating. Like the separateness of me, and then we have that voice, and then we have my health, which is programs that have been installed in me that I actually didn't choose. I actually have been lucky, maybe most with my health, because I am pretty healthy, but at the same time I work towards my health. I work to eat healthy and to exercise. And at the same time, we need to keep our mind healthy, our thoughts, that voice healthy. Like, what has that voice been telling you? How has that voice been influencing your daily life? Has that voice been helping you? If not, it's okay, because it's just a voice that has no power over you and how you actually are and you actually feel. So the thing that in the other video we said, like, you do not worry, that is also fascinating to me, because there are so many people with so much anxiety and they just worry so much all the time. And if we think like, am I actually worrying, or is that voice that has been impregnated in our minds that is worrying? At the same time, this is interesting. At the same time, it's like, it's like something to protect us, just like our immune system. So our immune system gets fever and gets slower when we are sick. Why? It is actually to protect us. So their voice is here also to protect us, but in what ways it is actually improving our lives. It is actually having a good impact on our lives. So that is what we should be focusing on. And also, then I asked, so this actually made me think about, there are some people that really worry a lot more than others, to the point that they cannot sleep, they cannot turn that voice down, they cannot turn it off. And I asked, how do some people worry more than the others? Like, it's like they are pre-programmed to worry more than the others. And he said, excellent question, and he's going to do a video, so maybe when the video comes out I will react to it. I worry much less than my boyfriend, but I'm much more sensitive to physical pain. Yeah, this was, then I thought about, like, my boyfriend actually worries a lot, and I don't worry. Actually, like, I don't worry about anything at all. Maybe when I'm lacking money, okay, there's those times I worry a little bit about money stuff. But in terms of like stress in our daily lives, I'm pretty stress resistant, really stress resistant. I actually enjoy working under pressure. So I was thinking, like, why do some people are pre-programmed? Are they not used to deal with their voice? Is it not trained, or it is actually like the voice is much more negative than in other people? And I see that some people are really pre-programmed to worry more than others. And this is it something that we train, or is it, so it's probably something we are born with? Some people are just born with better healthy genes. Some people are born with more healthy thought processes. Some people are more prone to cancer or to depression and those things. But okay, it's just relieving to know that it is something that is like here. We cannot see it, like their voice. We cannot, anybody else can hear it except for us, but it is here, it is a present, it exists. It just depends, how are we going to use it? Is it going to be for our best interests, our benefit, in our benefit, or are we going to let it rule us? That is the question for you today. And I'm really getting into like the mind. I'm really into this, how we think actually influences our quality life. I'm going to do more videos on this topic. So if you like this video, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Have a nice week.